Hello friends, we are bigdatahandson.com. Today is uh, day 19. K neighbors classifier and regressor we will see. Okay, previously we have taken on these algorithms like logistic regression, polynomial, linear regression, and we have took Python classes day 4 to day 14, and before we took statistics and probability day 1 to day 3. Okay, and then our website bigdatahandson.com. You can visit our website. If you have any doubts, you can message us in this number 978 and you can send email through support@bigdatahandson.com. So all the previous videos will be uploaded in our YouTube channel bigdatahandson.com. Here, here we'll upload all the videos. You can subscribe to our channel. If you subscribe to our channel, you will get all the updates. Okay. uh, let's see today's session. Today will be k neighbors. Okay, so let's open the slide. So today's algorithm will be k nearest neighbors. What is k nearest neighbors? So k nearest neighbors is a powerful classification algorithm, or you can use for regression as well. Okay, but usually we use for classification only. A powerful classification algorithm used in pattern recognition. K-nearest neighbor stores all available cases and classifies new cases based on similarity measure. So that means we use a factor, right? In k-nearest neighbors, we don't have any equations. We use a factor, that is distance here. You based on the distance only, will classify the new cases. Okay, one of the top data mining algorithms used today, and a non-parametric lazy learning algorithm and instance-based learning algorithm. Why is it? It's because it's all depend on the distance function, right? We use a distance function like Minkowski or some other distance functions we use uh, to classify the new cases, right? So that's why it's a lazy learning algorithm, because for every new cases it's measure the distance for all the stored data we use for training, right? So it measures uh, the distance between the new case and all other previous the training data. That's why it is a lazy learning algorithm, because for every cases it's just finding the distance function. Using the distance function, it's find the distance. Okay, so how it is worked? So based on the distance function, for example, let's say the Euclidean distance we have studied in our higher secondaries, right? Square root of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. So this will give you the distance between 2 points like p1 and p2. These are the 2 points here. And if you want to find this distance between the 2 points, we'll use this function Euclidean distance, right? So after finding the distance, what it will do? Yeah. Okay. So after finding the distance, what it will do? It will take k neighbors. That's what it named as k neighbors. So we'll take the k nearest values. Okay, based on the, for example, the green one is the new case. Okay, new data point. And you can say the test data. Okay, so these are all the training data. Okay, so what we'll do? Let's say we have two categories here, red and blue. Okay, so what we'll do? We'll assign a k value. So this k value we need to give that in for algorithm. For example, you can give k equal to 3, or you can give k equal to 5, whatever it is. So if k equal to 3, what happens is it will find using the distance function, it will first find all the distances between these new cases and all other data points here, and then it will sort it, and then it will pick nearest 3 points. Okay, after sorting, it will pick nearest 3 points. Okay, so we have picked up here, right? We have two red points and we have one blue point for the k equal to 3. Okay, and then after this, finding the k nearest points, it will group that. For example, it will group the red and blue we have. So in the red category we have 2 points, and for blue category we have 1 points. That means uh, which category is most likely, then it will go for that category only. So now this new case will belongs to this category, the red category. Why? Because we have most likely data point in here, right? So if you pick k equal to 3 or k equal to 5, k equal to 5 also, we have three red points and two blue points. That means the most likely is red category only. So this new case will belong to red category. That's it. That's how the KNN actually works. Okay, the steps involved in KNN is choose the number of k neighbors and take the k nearest neighbors of the new data point according to the Euclidean distance, and among these k neighbors we have picked up, then we need to count the number of data points in each category. So we want just to group that categories, and then we'll assign the new data point to the category where you counted the most neighbors, right? So this the fourth step we'll follow, and then so we will classify all the new data points. Okay. Okay, so now let's begin. Let me start spider. So another thing, if you have a classification type of data, then we'll go with the grouping concept. So we'll count the number of data points in each category. But what about regression, right? We'll have a question on that. So if you have a regression type of data, then what it will do is, so it's the same thing, the two steps. We'll choose the number of k neighbors and take the k nearest neighbors according to the equivalent distance. Those two steps will be the same. In the third step, what we'll do for regression is, instead of counting each category, we'll find the mean value. Okay, so we have taken the k neighbors. So using the k neighbors, we'll find the mean. That will be the new data point. So that's how we do for regression type of data in k neighbors. Okay, simply we're just finding the mean. Okay, so now let me create a new file, save this, and k neighbors also allows multi-class classification. That means you can have more than two classes in your target variable. You can have. Okay, so now knn. Okay, so first let me import the libraries pandas numpy, pandas spd, and import the numpy library, numpy as np, and we can import matplotlib, plot as plt. Okay, and then we can import cbone as well. Okay, and then after, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the style of the plot using the cbone. SNS dot set style. Here you can give the set underscore style. So it has white grade or dark grade or just white or just dark. So I'm giving white grade. Okay, so now let's run this program. For today's session, I'm going to use two datas for regression or classification. For classification, what data I'm going to use is I'm going to use iris data. So what does mean? The iris data is the data of the flowers, iris flowers. So in iris we have three categories: setosa, versicolor, virginica. So we want to predict based on the given sepal length, the length and the width of the leaf, the sepal length and the petal length. And we have four variables like sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. So based on these four variables, we need to predict which flower is that. Is that setosa or is that vesicolor or virginica? Okay. So the data you can this data for iris data also you can find it in Gaggle, or else you can import it from sklearn library. So in sklearn also we have some data sets. Okay, so you can import from here, load iris. You can import this function. You can see some functions is there. These are the datas. So load digits, load Boston, and ISBM light file, breast cancer files, diabetes. These are the datas which sklearn provides. Okay, let's import load iris. This is a function actually. We want to call this function. For example, I say data equal to load iris. I will call the function. It will return me the data. So I will run these two lines. Okay, now if you visualize in data, we have some keys actually. Uh, it will have some keys. On the keys only, it will store the values. For example, let's say feature names. Feature names is the name of our features like sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. Okay, and what we have is we'll have a target parameter. So the target is the which we are going to predict. For example, 0 will be a category of, for example, maybe setosa or vesicolor or virginica. Like 1 0 belongs to setosa and vesicolor, and virginica 2 belongs to virginica. So this is the target variable which we are going to predict now. And here is the data. So you can see we have four columns, right? So in the four columns we'll have four data for four features we have. So that is on the key data, right? So the key is data. Okay, so that means what we are going to do is we are going to create a data frame using the pandas data frame pd dot data frame class. So in here what we are going to do is we need to give the data and as well the column names, the feature names. Okay, so we can get it from the data which we loaded using the sklearn, right? So data brackets the key. What is the key here? For the data, we have data key, right? So we need to give data here, and then we need to give the columns, right? Columns, columns equal to, the columns are nothing but the feature names we need to give. That is inside the here. So you can see the key is feature names. In feature names, we have all the feature names here. Data brackets, we need to give the feature names. So it will create you a data frame. Okay, let me run this line. Yeah, now go to the variable explorer, you will find the data frame. So this was the data is, so we have four columns, right? Supple and supple width, petal and petal width. We have 150 observations, and we don't have the target variable here in the data frame. So what we need to do is, that is on the target variable is inside the target key, right? Inside the target key only we have the target variable. So what I'm going to do is, in the data frame I'm going to create a new column named as class, and I'm going to assign the values as the data of target variable. In the target only we have the prediction data which are going to predict, and I'm going to assign this data in the class column. In data frame I'm going to create a column called class, and we'll assign the values, target variables. And now if you open the data frame, you will find the column class here, right? So in here we have 50 setosa data and 50 versicolor and 50 virginica. Okay, that's what 150 data we have, right? Okay, now we got the data frame, and then it's time to pre-process the data. So here you can find no NaN values is there, no empty values is there, no empty values is there. So we can skip the step. We don't have any categorical type of data, that's already encoded, right? So we have 1 2 3 only. So now what we need to do is, we need to split the data, that x and y. They get independent variable and dependent variable. So we will assign data frame, and in the data frame the first four columns are each is independent variable. So we can pick the columns by the index location, and we want all the rows. The columns are starting to fourth index, right? So we need to give the 4. So it will pick until 3, 0 1 2 3. Okay, so it will not pick 4 because we know that the upper bound is excluded. So if you don't give the starting value, the starting value will be 0, but if you don't give it, defaultly it will take 0. Okay, okay. So now for the y, okay, and one more step is there, we need to convert it to what data frames, right? Sorry, arrays. Data frame to array values. And for dependent variable, that is df of class variable. Okay, and we need to convert this to values arrays, we need to convert. Okay, so now we have separated the dependent and independent variables. Now we need to split the data into training and testing. So let's import the function train test split from sklearn library model selection module. Inside this module we'll have the function called train test split, and this will return you four values: x train, x test, y train y test, and call the function train test split, and you want to give the data x and y, and another two parameters that are test size you need to give. So I will give 0.25, 25% data for test, remaining 75% data will be for training. And we need to give the random state. We'll set the random state, because if you don't set the random state, every time if you run it will give something different values, because it's just picking randomness. We are setting the randomness. Let's set to 5 or 10. Let's take. Okay, so now let's run these two lines. You will get four more variables. So you can see we have four more variables. Okay, so now what we need to do is, it's time to build our KNN model. So for every model, we know that we have a class, right? So for KNN also we have the class. So where it is? It is inside the sklearn library, but on a different module. Now the module is neighbors. Okay, in a different module, because we know that the logistic regression and linear regression are under which module? Linear model. So now the neighbors, KNN neighbors, are inside which module? Neighbors module, right? So now inside this module we have the KNN class, K neighbors classifier and K neighbors regressor. You can see here these two, K neighbors classifier, and for regressor we have another class, K neighbors regressor. So let's first import the classifier first. Now let's create a object for that. Let's name it as classifier equal to KNN classifier. Okay, so here inside the parenthesis you need to give a parameter that is called n neighbors. You can see here. Oh, that's gone. You can press control I to inspect. You will see here. Actually, the parameter is here, the n neighbors. Okay, this parameter we need to give. That's k value. You know that here we have the k value, right? Based on the k value, uh, we take the k nearest neighbors. So that value we will give here k neighbors. Okay, sorry, n neighbors, that is n underscore neighbors. I will set that to 5. That's the default value, we know that. So let's start with the 5 itself. Okay, and after creating the uh, classifier object, we need to fit into our training data. X train and Y train. Okay, okay, let's run these three lines. Okay, we have fitted into our training data. Now we want to predict it. So we can predict it. Y pred equal to classifier dot predict. And inside the predict, you want to give the test data x test. Okay, now we got the prediction result y pred here. Here's the prediction. Now we want to count how many predictions are correct or incorrect. So we can do that using confusion matrix, right? So let's import the confusion matrix that's inside sklearn module, and in the matrix module we have the confusion matrix. So here it will give you the confusion matrix. You want to call the function and we need to give two values, that is y true and y pred. So y true is nothing but our actual value, that is test data, y test the actual value, and we need to give the y pred, our predicted data. So now you can see here confusion matrix. So previously we have seen the 2 by 2 matrix. Now what about 3 by 3 matrix? So if you have a confusion matrix like 3 by 3 matrix, the diagonal which is here like 11, 14 plus 12, these are all correct predictions. Only these three and these three are incorrect predictions. So now what we have here, we have a incorrect prediction. What is it? Actually the class is 2, but our model predicted class 1. So that's a mistake. Okay, one mistake, but all other are correct predictions, right? So that means in 38, the 37 is correct, only one is wrong. That means the accuracy will be 37 divided by 38 will get 0.97. Is what the accuracy of our k neighbors. Okay, on this data, on this iris data, this is the uh, accuracy. Okay, okay, now we have created a classifier. Now let's create a regressor. Okay, so I will just comment this all because we are going to use a new data, not this one. Okay, let's visualize this. So before this, I will show you visualizing this. SNS dot scatter plot. Let's plot with sepal length and sepal width. And we have given x and y variables, and then you want to give the data as well. So the data is data equal to the data frame will give df, and the hue means it will show you separated categories like 0 1 2 for setosa vesicular virginica. So the hue is class. Now class column is the hue now. So and then if you run this, you will get a plot, scatter plot. So you can see here this is scatter plot. Let's use dark grid. Oh, it is not changing. No. Okay, its background is dark. Okay, it's just changing background dark. Okay, we can also resize the uh, figure. So what we need to do is, in the SNS you want to set the figure size, SNS dot So you can give some values like height and weight you will give, and then it will change the figure size. Okay, now let's create a regressor algorithm. So we want to comment this all. Now we'll use a different data, uh, like a regression type of data we'll use, or you can inside sklearn also we have a data for a regression, uh, that is Boston data, Boston house price prediction. Load Boston, if you see, yeah, here, load Boston. So that's the Boston housing data. You want to predict the house price based on the given features. Okay, so now we'll create the data frame, pd dot data frame with the data, and the feature names are, columns are feature names. So now you can see we have this data. So, these are the independent variables we have: crime, is 10, indus, gas, nox. So I think they will give the meaning of that, maybe. I think not given. So we forgot the target variable. Df of, let's make say price, or you can just say target equal to data of target. Okay, so now we got this data. These are all the independent feature. This we need to predict. We're going to predict. So we have too many columns, right? So what we'll do, we will check the correlation test, and we'll pick some like nearly 4 or 5 columns. Okay, and then we'll start building our model. Okay, to do that we can have the sns dot heat map. Okay, df dot core for correlation, and we give the vmin, vmax. Minimum is -1, maximum is 1, and the center will be 0. And we need to give not equal to true. So it will take some time to create the plot. Yeah, it's created. This is the plot. So we can't visualize that. So we'll save it and we'll open. So this is the correlation. Actually, okay, it's too small. Okay, we'll try to change the figure size. Okay, now it is clear. Okay, we can see. Now we have the target variable here. So we need to pick four. We can pick four columns. Let's take this 0.7 in more correlated. So we can take the RM, and here you can see negatively correlated, but negatively high correlated 0.74. So we can choose the L state and this one and this one. Okay, this one first. PT ratio minus 0.51, and when compared to this one is high, minus 0.48. So we can pick Indus. Okay, so we selected the four columns, that is Indus, RM, and the PT ratio and L state, these four columns. Okay, we'll select that. So let's take it as x equal to data dot log all the rows we want, but the columns are selective. The first one is Indus, and and the next one is RM, and then PT ratio and L state. PT ratio and L state, right? Okay. So for y, that is target variable only. Target. Sorry, not data. That is DF, data frame. Okay. Now we got the x and y. We have four variables here for x, and in the y we have only one variable, that is target variable. Okay. So and then now what we need to do is we need to split into training and testing. So just copy this one. Okay. And then what we need to do is we need to standardize the scale. This is because the scale is different. You can see for parameters the scale is different, so we'll standardize the scale. Okay, so let's run these lines. So now we got the testing and training data with the scaled one. So now it's time to build our model. So we want to import the class for the regressor. So inside the neighbors module, import the k nearest regressor, k neighbors regressor, and we want to create the object for that regressor equal to k neighbors regressor. And here also we need to give the neighbors parameter n neighbors equal to, initially take it as 5 and then we'll try to change this regressor. Okay, and then we want to fit the regressor into our training data. Fit x underscore train, y underscore train. Okay, now let's run these three lines. Okay, after this we want to predict it. Y underscore pred equal to regressor dot predict. So inside we will give the test data x test. Okay, this is a continuous prediction. To evaluate this we use R2 score or mean squared error, right? So I want to import that from sklearn dot metrics. matrix, import the R2 score because it's a regression problem. So we'll use a continuous type of evaluation method, that is R2 score and mean square error. So let's calculate R2 score. R2 underscore score. This takes the same two parameters, y test and y pred. And for MSC, the mean squared error, we'll call the function mean squared error, and then the same parameter will give x test, y test and y pred, and we'll print these two values. Okay, now let's run this. So you can see the R2 score came 0.76%. Now in the MSC is 23. Okay. Now if I try to change the neighbors, the result this will impact the result actually. If I say min neighbors 4, then you can see 0.767, a little more actually. If I say change to 3, so that is 0.79, you can see it's increasing, right? If you change the k neighbors, or it may be a factor of test size, or you can say random state. We'll try to adjust the size and the randomness, and also we'll try to uh, adjust the n neighbors. Okay, the k value. Okay, this for regression. Okay, so using the k neighbors regressor, we solve the regression problem. Okay, so that's it for today. Any doubts you have?
I'm still trying to catch up this since I joined us today. I have a
Okay,
question,
okay.
Irfan.
Yeah.
What is the real-time scenario? Can you just throw some real-time scenario where we can apply this
The
neighbor?
k neighbors.
Yeah.
Where the distance is a factor, then we use k neighbors, because this k neighbors in only build on a distance function. So if a distance is a factor, then we use the k neighbors. Is a usually is a common algorithm is k neighbors for classification. If you want to classify more than two categories, we usually use the k neighbors only. But the problem is it uses a distance function for every data set. It will calculate for every new data, it will calculate the distance. So it will get slower when you have more features, right? So that's why I choose only 4 features. Okay, because intersectionally it will just using, for example, it will take index and rm, it will find the distance, and then rm pt ratio, it will find the distance. Like that it will do for every features. That's what uh, the problem is. It's a lazy algorithm, that's why.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other doubts?
Somebody, somebody asking question in chat.
Okay, 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 okay. What's different between fit transform and transform? So actually we have 3 functions. You can observe, we have fit transform, and we have transform. So what it does, initially let's take the standard scalar or any other algorithms. The fit, what it will do, it will calculate some values, like for example the standard scalar, it will, the fit method will calculate the mean and the standard deviation for the data set which we are providing. Okay, and then the transform, what it will do, it will apply the equation. For example, y equal to mx plus c. Initially it will calculate the fit method will calculate the m and c, the slope and constant. Okay, and then the transform will apply the using the calculated slope and constant, it will apply for the every data. Okay, which we are providing here. So and then we have a fit transform, right? Fit transform, what it will do, it will both, it will do the both the thing. Like first it will fit, like it will calculate the slope and constant, and then it will apply the equation to the data. That's what the three function is: fit transform, transform, and we have fit also. Okay, any other doubts?
So that means we can't perform transform without fit.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct, correct. So
Okay.
for first we need to fit it, and then only you will need to apply it, right?
Yeah. Then why they kept a separate function as a fit a transform? That's not needed, right?
Yeah, sometimes here you see here we have k neighbors, right? First we fit only, we don't use the transform, right? We only use a predict only. So we use the fit to fit into our data set. Like for example, it's calculating a slope and constant, let's say. And in the predict function, it uses for example, it takes this data set and it is finding the it is applying the equation y equal to mx plus c. So in that time, sometimes we need the fit, or sometimes we need the transform, or else you can use both like fit to transform, and the two in the uh, combined fit and transform. Why is because, for example, let's take this example, the standard scalar. In this first we are fit transforming it, and then we are just transforming it. Why it is because the fit will calculate the mean and standard deviation, right, for standard scalar. So it is calculating the mean and standard deviation of which data, the training data. And here we don't calculate the mean and standard deviation for test data. Why is because we use the same scale, right? So standard scalar is nothing but creating a scale, in a different scale into a same scale. So we don't apply, we don't calculate the mean and standard deviation another time. So we just apply it. So that's why we need separately, we need a fit, and separately we need transform. Sometimes we use both combinedly. Okay,
Okay.
any other doubts you have? Okay, let's end this session. So we are bigdatahandson.com, our website bigdatahandson.com, and the YouTube channel is bigdatahandson.com. All the videos will be uploaded here in our YouTube channel. If you subscribe to our channel, you will get all the updates. So you can visit our website bigdatahandson.com. Here you can see the numbers. If you want to contact, you can use this number, and you can send email through support@bigdatahandson.com. Okay, so let's see tomorrow, and bye.